Welcome to Disrupting Japan. Straight talk from Japan's most successful entrepreneurs. I'm Tim Romero, and thanks for joining me. You guys are awesome. I've got to admit, that is the exact response I hear in my head every time I say that phrase. Before we get to the kanpai, and to the panel discussion proper, there's a few people I really want to thank who, without them, I couldn't have put this show together. The first of which is Crew, Crew with two W's. And what Crew does is they run about 80% of the corporate accelerators in Japan. So if your startup wants to hook up with a large corporation, or you've got a big company you want to hook up with a startup, you need to talk to Crew. And Segawa-san's hanging around somewhere. Where's Segawa-san? Wave. I can't see you from up here, so there he is in the back. Also, so talk to Segawa-san, and also Crew is opening a new co-working collaboration space to help startups connect with enterprises. It's just up the street. Second, I want to give a big shout out to the Carter Group, and Dominic Carter is here somewhere himself. There's Dominic over there. And so for those of you who have done business in Japan, which is pretty much everyone here, you know that things never quite work out as you expect them to, and the Carter Group provides market intelligence and market research that help companies grow their business here or come here in the first place. And their processes and their prices are extremely startup friendly. So if you want to grow your business here, talk to Dominic. And last, but certainly not least, I want to give a big shout out to Digital Hub. Now, you'll see these guys running around with cameras and microphones documenting this for all of posterity. Don't talk to the guys with the cameras. But they also do some great corporate video work. So if you're looking for video, and who isn't these days, talk to Steve, who is over there. So let's have a big round for these guys. So, I'd like everyone to raise their glasses. And thank you guys so much for being with me for 3 years and over 100 episodes. And I hope you come along with me for the next 100 episodes in the next 3 years. Thank you so much. Kanpai. Cheers. All right. Now, we get to the meat of the show. Now, I want to introduce the panel myself because I know these guys, if I just let you talk about your companies, you're going to use up all the time. So on my far left is Shin Sakane of Seven Dreamers, and they have been one of the most innovative and aggressively exporting hardware companies in Japan. You've done everything from carbon fiber golf shafts to a medical device that fits in the nose for some reason, but you're most known for the Laundroid laundry folding robot, which you're releasing overseas in Japan at about the same time. Right. In the center is Ken Tamagawa of Soracom, who makes extremely affordable and flexible connectivity for Internet of Things and connected devices, and who is in the process of selling his company to KDDI. Nothing's been officially launched, but it's been leaked all over creation. And on my immediate left is Takuma Iwasa of Cerevo, who is one of the most innovative device makers in Japan and one of the leaders in the maker space here. And I would say you've got one of the most interesting models for global expansion that I've ever heard of. So let's hear it for the panel. So first and foremost, I want to talk about going global. So in all of your cases, the global market has been extremely important to you. How soon in like your company history did you decide to go global, and why did you do it at that time? And Shin, let's start with you.
Yeah, we have 3 products, and 2 of them are already launched. So our strategy is initially start marketing in Japan. Japanese market is one of the, I shouldn't say easiest, but really kind of warmest. It's the nicest marketplace I ever think. So if we cannot be successful in Japan, don't forget about global expansion. So just like we test market in Japan, and once we found it's successful, and immediately go global. That's our strategy.
So basically, as soon as you find that product market fit, you'll take it global.
Right.
Okay.
It's about like 1 year or a little bit less than 1 year after we launched in Japan that we just go global.
And do you think the Japanese market is easy because you're Japanese, or is there something kind of unique about the market that makes it easy?
So good thing about Japanese market is, I think maybe I skip this.
We're going to come back to that question. Ken, how about you? You took a different route, but the international markets are
actually,
really important.
let me talk about my background. So I used to work for Amazon Web Services, AWS. So I really like the business model, kind of, global platform business. So when we started Soracom, we wanted to make, naturally global platform, right? So when we started the company, actually I, registered the entity in the Delaware first.
Right.
Yeah. Then we tried to fundraise money, but we couldn't, right? So kind of like a switch to the Japanese company, and what I actually understand is what our team has as the unfair advantage is kind of like a Japanese market, because I knew a lot of people of the VCs and also the many CIO, CTO of the companies. So kind of we changed our strategy. First we start Japanese company, right? Then after we kind of demonstrated our product strengths, immediately we started expanding our business to the global. So we started our business in 2015 September. Then last year 2016 December we started business in the US, then EU.
So it sounds like it's pretty much the same strategy. As soon as you validated the product,
exactly,
you went overseas. Why was that important? Because so many Japanese companies are Japan focused. It's much easier, and it is a very big market.
Because if we kind of demonstrated our product is really good, somebody might copy our business, right? But before others doing that, we want to go global. And also, if you look at the technology like AWS and other smartphone and platforms, it's not that difficult to go global in terms of like a technology, right?
True. The going global on the technology to go global and the company going global are really different.
Yeah.
And actually, let's talk about that in a minute, because before then, Takuma, why don't you explain your global strategy? Because I think it's a very interesting one.
Yeah, I just in this time I understood why I invite here. So because of my company, I have to explain about my company's very curious strategy. Because every startup company is focusing the mass market or future mass market. Roundroid is same as it's. I think the Sakane-san product is future, the washing machine or future, the something. So, but my company doesn't focus the mass market. Our product is a really niche product. But I worked in Panasonic 5 years, and Panasonic is really focusing to the consumer market. And that style was very tough for me, and very tough for the Japanese startup companies. That's why the Japanese startup company doesn't have not so huge money compared to the Silicon Valley. Then I changed my company strategy to the global niche. That means we are just slicing very, very the users in India, in US, in UK, and Japan, like this.
And you've developed a lot of very, well, like you say, global niche. So
Yep.
things like smart snowboard bindings
Yes.
and streaming video that clips onto video cameras
Yep.
over Wi-Fi, and just this huge and strange anime connected gun-looking
Yep,
things.
the name
that
is
I don't know what it's
Dominator. You know
called.
Dominator?
Dominator, that was it.
Oh, raise your hands. Anyone knows Dominator? Oh, very small guy, small quantity. So let's see the anime. The name is Psychopath.
But this,
Okay.
but this is interesting. I mean, you were saying that. So, Shin and Ken were saying that they find product market fit in Japan first and then go global. But it sounds like what you're saying is that you didn't get that much interest in Japan, and you got greater interest overseas.
Yeah, that's why today. So the news media is very, very important for the startup company, and our product is a hardware with service or with applications. So hardware is just unveil the hardware. The news will be automatically running all over the world, just only 24 hours or 48 hours. So that's why we unveiled our product in Las Vegas or in some Europe countries. Then the day is only one X day. Then the news value is raising down every day. So that's why we launch product to global same day.
So, do you think that the global media is more interested in novel, unusual products than the Japanese media is?
Yeah, it's same as, but from my vision, so U.S.-based and China-based media is a much more, how to say, aggressive to picking up the curious product or a whole new product.
Okay. Interesting.
And also, here is Tokyo, Japan. Anyone comes from the Tokyo's media company? No? Oh, that's great.
There's a handful.
Oh, that's very difficult. I can't find him, okay? Because the Japanese media guys is very carefully checking global media. Once picking up the TechCrunch or VentureBeat articles, quickly writing to translate to the Japanese media. So that's why we launched a product in global.
So when you get the U.S. media, the Japanese media kind of comes along for free. Excellent. Good to know.
Yeah. Sorry, 20% joking, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's working for you pretty well. But getting media attention and getting that technical product market fit is very different from running a market entry to actually making sales overseas. So, like Ken, you were mentioning particularly, like your software runs on AWS. You can deploy it into any market in the world in an hour, maybe less. But how did you go about building up the business? What advice do you have for Japanese companies who need to go overseas and need to build those international teams?
Yeah, that's actually what we are working on right now. So, in Japan, we had an unfair advantage. Like, our team is kind of popular in the, cloud market. And, we have many evangelists in our team.
You have all the connections.
Right. But in the US and in the EU, we are nothing, right? Nobody knows Soracom. So, right now we are working on the more like, bottom up marketing. We have a free workshop and, many developers are joining our workshop. And then actually we try to have them touch our technology. Then if they like it, they're going to write about the blogs and, so that's kind of a, grassroots marketing type of the.
So, I mean, but even to do grassroots is a lot of work. So have you been focusing on, say, customer outreach from a team in Japan? Did you hire local teams in each market? How did you go about it?
Yeah, I mean, we do that. I mean, that's a kind of, we say our technology is like a super global in terms of running on the AWS and, kind of a software technology. But sales and marketing, need to be super local. So we hire the people in the US, we hire people in EU, I mean Denmark, Estonia, France, all over the world. And
so as a US team, it's all a US team, or
exactly.
Is there, okay. Yeah. So it is super local.
Mm-hmm.
Shin, what are you guys doing?
So, like in order to expand the market, globally. It's simply we just repeat the same thing as what we've done in Japan. So, for example, when we expand the business in Europe, all you need to do is very simple, just like establish a company in EU, one of the countries. We chose France just because of the food and wine. I didn't want to go to the place where the food is not good. But anyways, we chose. well, US.
Well, the EU is Britain has already Brexited, so that was kind of
yeah. So we chose Paris, and then we just established a company there, and then we just hire, the corporate president, the company president, area leader, and then just expand the same thing, and we just register a company in Silicon Valley, in Shanghai. It's just we do what we've done in Japan.
So how much, for example, how much freedom and independence do the different units have versus how much do they work together? So the Laundroid, I mean, all the technology is here in Japan, but it's a lot of making strategic alliances. It's a lot of sales work. So do you customize for every market you go into, or do you have kind of a coordinated strategy that's global?
Yeah, good point. That the technology development-wise, we're not big enough to really, customize the product in each country. So all the product development are done in Japan, but we try to make it like global, like standard, kind of product. And then, so what we focus in each region is the marketing and PR and sales. So we hire someone like a leader who is very knowledgeable about the PR, marketing, and sales in each country, and then let him hire whoever he wants to hire, and then create a team.
Okay, so your efforts are really customized and independent in each market.
Right.
Okay. And Takuma, I know you do something that's very different.
Yep.
You don't have any overseas staff, do you?
No, we have two paper companies. One is in Hong Kong, and another one is in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, two paper companies.
Yeah, two paper. Just for processing the tax and the managing the USD and some other currencies.
So I know this is going to be really attractive to a lot of companies in Japan who want to go global. So how do you handle things like support and customers that are coming in from America and Europe? How do you handle that from Japan?
Every sales and customer support is controlling from Japan, and we just only providing the email-based the user support, customer support, but almost all the customer says okay because the product is really niche. So please imagine if you're going to buy some special ski equipment or.
I'm sorry, Shin and Ken are laughing at that. I think they would love to get away with that.
That's okay. So let's think about it. Let's think about your everyone's minds. If you're going to buy some niche product, the buying directly from the US, directly buying from the China. Maybe user support is only Chinese or English only, but almost all guys it says okay, right?
Okay, I think that's really. Let me ask you: do you think that will scale? Mm-hmm. So I think that what you're doing, this idea of having buyers who are just so fascinated with the product and who think you have something that's cool and unique,
yep.
They'll put up with a lot. It's like running a Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
But do you think that can scale from, say, the thousands of units into tens of thousands or 100,000s of units? Do you think that approach can scale up?
Our approach can be scalable because each product quantity is just only 20K pieces, 30K pieces, but we have already 26 different products. Every product, if we can sell the 10K or 20K pieces, that's huge amount of the revenue and profit, right?
Absolutely. But what happens when there's global demand for 1 million units? Do you sell the business division or?
We maybe some of our products raising up around the millions of units. Maybe we're going to sell the business unit to the Tamagawa-san boss company. Or, no, your boss company. Or some other big company like a Sony, Panasonic, like this.
Okay.
So please imagine. So my company is like special ops.
It's sort of like it's almost like a hardware accelerator with a company wrapped around it.
That's correct.
Awesome. No, I think that's an awesome model. And it lets you do global sales and support using email and Kickstarter. And how awesome is that?
Can I add one additional
Absolutely.
things? So we're trying a very curious and a very niche product. So once we are going to launch curious and very niche world-first product, the media guides, include you, is picking up our product. And I can really easy to find the distributors in global. And once open the global door, we can find so many curious distributors. They are handling really curious things and really curious things.
Well, I think so. Shin, I know you and I talked about, you had so much interest from distributors around the world, but you decided it was best to handle it all yourself and set up offices. So why did you decide to do that instead of going through distributors?
Not that we don't, deal with distributors. We do deal with distributors, and we do have good partnerships with many distributors in Japan. So what I mean is, we need to have a hub in each region. This is what we've done in Japan. We have a hub in Tokyo, and then we have certain team here. Then we keep increasing number of partners, distributors in Japan even. So in order to repeat the same thing in each region globally, so what I mean is we need at least one hub, office or a team in one place in Europe, one in North America.
So you can control the message and control.
Right. And based on this hub, then we try to establish many partnerships around that team.
Now, one thing that Shin and Ken, you both mentioned earlier, you talked about the Japanese market as being very friendly and warm, and I think a lot of startups here might disagree with that, but it's it's hard. But I've noticed that foreign companies and foreign startups are coming into Japan earlier and earlier. And so 10, 20 years ago, people talked about Japan as being like this Galapagos, where it was this technological island where, companies could get away with doing things different here. But with foreign companies coming in earlier and earlier, do you think the Japanese market's getting more competitive? And is that Galapagos effect disappearing here? Ken, what do you think?
I think in terms of foreign companies, getting into the Japanese market, those Galapagos disappears because already many companies are using the technology platform, like a common platform, right? Like iPhone, Android, AWS, Azure, Google, and already many people know that, right? But I think most important part is how they can hire the best people in Japan, and actually I'm not saying I'm the best people. But I used to work. I used to work on the.
Trying to hire the best people.
No. I used to work on the MBA in the US, right? Then I learned English and also American culture. Then naturally I worked for Amazon. To introduce AWS technology into Japanese market because I know Japanese market, right? Yeah. So, I think that's the most important part.
Well, so I guess what you're saying is that the infrastructure layer, whereas 30, 40 years ago, the infrastructure layer was unique to Japan, whether it was networks
DeFi,
exactly.
Right?
And now that the infrastructure has gone global, all these smaller service offerings and SaaS companies it's much easier to bring into Japan.
Yeah, like Netflix, Hulu, and you can name, right? So
you think the Japanese market's going to get less warm and friendly?
Well, language barrier is still high. So how they can handle with that. So that's
Shin, what do you think? Do you think the Galapagos is going away, or do you think that Japan will remain?
It should. I think it should. Of course, a lot of global, like overseas companies are really coming to this like big, one of the biggest market in the world. But what I mean by this, this country market being so friendly is, if you do something unique, like all of us here, we kind of shine easier. For example, like I don't think I could. Like our company could stand up as much in Silicon Valley because there are so many great fancy idea startups are like so many of them are there.
So many startups with huge marketing and media budgets.
Yeah, like crazy ideas, right? So, but in Japan, if we try to do something unique, everybody likes it. Initially, it's kind of tough. Everybody thought I'm stupid and crazy when I tried to do the laundry folding robot. But eventually, later, like soon after, they found, okay, this guy's unique.
Well, that's interesting because you've been working on this Laundroid for like 12 years, or
12 years. Yeah.
So
stupid, wasting so much money.
Well, no. I mean, you're finally launching. I mean. Do you think the Japanese press is maybe like more skeptical of crazy claims?
Yeah, well, but this is a good thing, right? Always, when if you want to improve products, we always want to have monster customers and monster market.
So, but I noticed like in Silicon Valley, it is. I mean, if you read any of the big tech sites, it's. A lot of it is these startups you look at and go, that's utter nonsense. This is not going to work. So during those, say 8 years where it wasn't working and it was just a crazy idea you were working on, was the Japanese press, did they think it was interesting and want to write about you? Or did they think, like, this guy's crazy, come back to us when you've got something that works?
Well, that was a kind of latter case at the beginning. But the good thing is, of course, we have to have a certain level of success to start with. It's like the same in anywhere in the world. But once we reach certain point, and Japanese medias, Japanese investors are more friendly than the U.S. ones, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sort of once you prove yourself, all the doors open very quickly in Japan.
Yeah, I think so. And then once we need to really kind of get moving, in Japan, and then once we found, okay, this is a way to go, we can do it, then immediately we should go global. Yeah.
Well, it seems like the whole idea, the push to going global, it's almost defensive now. If that whole Galapagos is going away and if it's becoming easier for foreign companies to enter the market, it's a question of, do you go after them before they come after you?
Well, that I don't know.
Is that a little too aggressive for a...
But one thing I can tell is, it's very simple. It's simple, like math that the global market is like 60 times bigger than Japanese market in theory, and then when you write a business plan to show to your investors, of course it's better to have bigger numbers, right? Then you get more investment. But if you have money, times 60.
Very good point.
So if you have more money, then you simply can just do it, right? So
okay, Takuma, you are almost immune to Galapagos because you're creating such crazy products on your own. But is your feeling also that the unique nature of the Japanese market, the Galapagos effect, is going away? Or do you think it's going to remain there's going to be unique aspects?
It's remaining, some part is remaining, but some part is already gone. So we are a hardware company, and it's a kitchen cooking product is still Galapagos, because it's not only Japan. It's every country's the cooking situation is completely different. The Chinese food and Japanese food and US-based food. But something like a digital gadget, like a smartphone, a smartwatch, and the music player. These type of the digital gadget, Galapagos is already gone. That's why it depends the Japanese distributor and the resellers.
So it sounds like, I think, Ken, you really hit on it. Anything where there is a shared infrastructure, anything where there's a shared base between Japanese companies and foreign companies, it's very, very easy to come into Japan.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially like technology-wise, cloud resources, the marketing resources, social network resources, all most like free, right? And globally fair, right? But kind of like we are doing like a telecom business, right? So if you look at the telecom business, regulation is different. So when we go into the U.S. market, we need to take care of the American law, and also, when we go into the EU market, we thought like EU is like a kind of like a united, right? But there are very different, regulation laws in each country, right?
So it works in theory.
Yeah. So, but I mean, technology-wise, as you said, we can copy our software stack on the AWS, within 1 hour from the Tokyo region to Frankfurt region or Oregon region, everywhere.
Okay, well, let me turn that question around, because I mean, it's this great opportunity. I've got the CEOs of 3 of the most innovative hardware startups in Japan on stage here, and in the 80s and 90s, Japan was unquestionably the dominant player worldwide in hardware. Whether you were talking about consumer electronics, the home appliances, video gaming, Japan dominated all of it. And then in the later half of the 90s, 2000s, Japan lost its edge and really fell behind. So, I mean, rather than analyzing all the things that went wrong or could have gone wrong, do you think, I mean, obviously your company's accepted, but do you think that Japan can turn it around and become a hardware leader again? And what's holding it back now? Shin, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. I agree that when I was in high school, like Sony's Walkman was the best, like best in the world. And I was so excited, like Japanese companies going so global. And I was always like talking about like Japanese success stories. But nowadays, it's not like that. But I think we can do it again. I think.
Well, what has to happen? So, I mean, for example, in 1999 in America, Sony was the #1 brand in America. It was better than Apple. It was better than GM. It was better than Microsoft. Sony was just dominant. So, what has to happen before Japanese companies can start regaining that hardware leadership?
Well, Ken and Iwasa-san should stand. Well, the thing is, I think like someone like us has to really challenge hard, and then hopefully like younger entrepreneurs will follow.
So you think it's just a matter of a lot of individuals deciding to do it?
Kind of like that. Just because, for example, like now, Landroid's development team is consisting of 60 engineers, right? And the 40 out of 60 are the guys from used to work for like Sony, Panasonic, Sharp, Toshiba, Hitachi, JVC, Kenwood.
Well, that's always been Japan has always had fantastic engineers, and they still do. The problem is turning that engineering know-how into product.
Yeah, like they actually like they're like all like over 50 years old. You cannot imagine like like Seven Dreamers is one of like fascinating like young engineers like paradise, right? But it's not like that. It's like really old men's like unbelievable like startup company.
It's an old engineer's paradise.
Yeah, old engineer's paradise. And I was so worried. I look at their VCs and they're so smart, like unbelievable carriers, but they're old, right? And we are like really busy startups. So can they handle it? But they can. They are very healthy, and they work so hard. They have speed, and they have experiences, and unbelievably smart. And all they needed to have was the theme, like innovative theme, like new thing.
So
to
the
try.
vision. They're missing the vision.
Right. That's what it is.
All right. Takuma, I mean, you guys have a a lot. You've been putting out a steady stream of innovations. Do you really think it's just a matter of innovative engineers with a vision stepping up and creating stuff? Is that all that's required? So, do you think for Japan to become like a global leader, do you think that there needs to be some top-down change or changes in the government? Or do you think, like Shin was saying, that all we have to do is individuals create companies, create products? What will be the trigger?
So the most important, it's not a dreamy answer. It's very realistic answer is
That's
just
what we
money.
Want. Money?
I think. Because the Silicon Valley and China has so huge amount of money to spend and start up the scene. The Huawei has a huge amount of money. It's same as the DJI.
But
GoPro is the same
it can't just be money, because Sony and Sharp have huge amounts of money, but they couldn't put out creative products.
No. Okay. I have to follow up. So money and entrepreneurship and age. That's
Age?
very important. So
Age, older, younger?
Younger is better.
Okay.
It's same as the Sakane-san's opinion. I completely agree to him. So the young guys has a passion, and the young guys is healthy, and they have the ideas, and they well known the global, and they can speak English as well, and but they doesn't have money. And once, because I have been a so huge great relationship with the Chinese factory and entrepreneurs, and they have a passion and a young age and huge money. I think that's.
So
don't laugh at it.
I'm really
Money's
serious. We need vision. We need money.
Yes, and also once you're going to Google, the Japanese startup scenes, the investing the money is so small compared to the China and the U.S. That's very important. If we can get the huge amount of the money from the market or from the Japanese investors, I believe we can compete to the global guys.
Ken got it.
Yeah. So Ken, you and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I have different view on this.
Yeah.
So I think, in short, software is eating the world, right? And I mean, so you guys know the DJI, right? Drone company in China. So they have like a really strong technology in hardware, though, but also their core competency is software. So synthesize all of the hardware by software technology, right? So that's like their competency. And those, software business can scale, right? Compared with hardware business. So even like Amazon, Facebook, I mean, GAFA thing, they are all software company. And we need to make, those like next generation software company in Japan. Otherwise,
Well, I think it's true. I think that, and this is true in the case of all of your companies, hardware companies now are much more software intensive
exactly
than they were in the 80s or 90s.
Can I continue?
Yeah.
So, Tamagawa-san is the best friend for me, but this is a panel discussion. I have to discuss.
So I'm saying, if we want to make like a really huge company from Japan, like Amazon, we need to focus on software. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean global niche is good strategy
global niche. So, but the DJI is a software company. I agree. But how about GoPro? GoPro is already alive. 1 trillion yen. How much I can calculate
It's way up there. Yeah.
But they are struggling, right?
Right now. But
I don't think you can say that GoPro is a bad example.
How many 10 billion? 1 trillion is 10 billion.
10 billion.
10 billion company. How many 10 billion company in Japan? Just one time 10 billion. That's huge, great success. GoPro, and also the Fitbit as well. They already 4,000 億 5,000 億 business. So it's so huge. So,
but actually, just to benchmark it, because I know that Shin and Ken, both of your companies are extremely software intensive. Iwasa-san, are most of your creations or divisions, are they 80% hardware innovation and 20% hardware, or 50-50, or how much software is in your hardware?
80.
80% software.
It's joking, but I think 50 or 60.
Okay, so
because
more than half is...
Our product in everyone's the current digital gadgets is 60% is the software based driven.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, my point is, kind of like a contribution portion of value addition is shifting to the software. So even like we have a lot of good companies, who has a really good technology in hardware. You can name like Keyence, Shimano, like Fanuc, those companies are right now great, but their core competency, if they focus on the hardware, losing, right? Yeah. Losing. So they need to shift to the software.
And
so that's my concern.
Software and software-based experience as well.
Yeah.
So GoPro is 90% hardware company, but their GoPro's experience came from the software. Once you're going to take a GoPro's movie and upload to the YouTube, and the people's feels GoPro's experience via the YouTube. YouTube is a software platform.
So what we really need is a little more vision, a lot more money, and more of a software engineering focus in Japan.
Right.
Excellent. Listen, before we open this up to Q&A, and by the way, the mic is there, and we'll start Q&A in just a minute, so if you got some questions for these guys, please step over there. But before we wrap up, I just want to ask a really quick question that what is the best short advice you could give to Japanese startup founders or foreign startup founders in Japan who want to sell globally? What's the best advice you could give them?
Can I say this? Just entry to the Innovation Award in CES.
So focus on the publicity?
Yes, global publicity. And today is the limit date to enter the CES Innovation Award.
Excellent. Ken, what would you say?
I would say hiring the best people, each way.
But that's good advice, but everyone's trying to do that. So how do you know you've got the right people when you're hiring halfway around the world and you're competing with everyone else who wants to hire the best people?
Well, we are working on that, right? So I would say don't, lower the bar of the hiring. We should raise the bar of the hiring,
So would you delay a product launch into a new market until you found the right country head?
Well, kind of like a startup, we are making innovation with, very few people. Then, if you hire like a very junior person in the team, kind of like that's damage the team power, right? So okay. I would say, hold the milestone and, wait for the best people.
Okay, so put people over schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say that.
Shin, how about you?
Well, simply dream big. So basically, you have to have a vision to go global from the beginning. And once you have that, you draw a business plan, counting on the global sales, right? And once you promise that, then investors invest in us, right? Then once that happens, we have to do it, no matter what. Then we do it, right?
Okay, so the same idea of plan to be global, find that product market fit in Japan, and then push it out as quickly and aggressively as you can.
Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Well, listen, let's give our panel a huge hand. And open it up for Q&A. Please, step up to the mic.
Hello, everybody. First, thank you to the panel, all four of you, for this show. It was very entertaining and also very informative. So for me, I'm Nofel. I'm from France, and I'm currently in international marketing at Mitsubishi Fuso. You talked about the fact that Japan needs to build the next generation software companies, and I feel like some of those companies already exist, but they are struggling to scale. I think the best example is Rakuten, which is this Japan equivalent to Amazon. And we've seen recently they have aggressively undertaken marketing actions like sponsoring, especially with Barcelona and the Golden State Warriors. What do you think Rakuten lacks to actually go global and actually compete with Amazon on global markets?
So Rakuten specifically, or just large Japanese companies in general?
Rakuten specifically, and also, but like both, I think. But okay, Rakuten is a good example.
you have any thoughts? You don't have to like dig into Rakuten specifically if you don't want to. This is Japan. Harmony must be maintained. I'll dig into them later, but I want to hear what.
Our headquarters is based in Futako, Tamagawa. So Rakuten is kind of a friend, so I cannot say anything about that.
Let's talk. Let's keep it general. So, large Japanese corporations, what can they do better to build that startup? Or, excuse me, that software architecture.
I think the purely software-based company, B2C software-based companies, are very difficult to go into the global market from Japan, because the B2C, the software, is just a software, not the IoT devices. It's very difficult, easy to make it compared to the hardware. So that's why we are trying the hardware, the software, the mixed. And the hardware is a little bit difficult to compare to the consumer-based software. So my answer is it's seriously difficult if they are trying to make just a software or a software-based platform.
Okay.
But once they are going to combine how to say, a little bit complex the hardware and some special equipment with the software, that's very easy to go out to the global market.
So basically, it's tough, but good luck.
That's typical. The example is a Fitbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shin, do you want to weigh in on it?
Well, I don't know too much about Rakuten, but I think just they missed the timing, good timing. Like Amazon and Rakuten in Japan they expanded in the right timing, but it's kind of too late for them to go global. I think that's what I think.
I think the Rakuten. I'm American. I don't pull punches. No, I think that the if you look at why Rakuten hasn't really built up a globally competitive software development infrastructure, they've got plenty of good engineers there. But what Rakuten is as a company, they found a niche in Japan, but they never found a similar product market fit outside Japan. So their software engineers are focused on filling that need and patching holes, and they don't have a unique value proposition that says, this is the software we're selling, this is your problem, and this is how it solves it. So they're very strong in Japan because they've got that product market fit, but they've struggled to find it overseas. So I think it's more of a lack of direction. It's certainly not a lack of talent. Come on up. Next question.
I have sort of a philosophical question.
Oh, I love those.
So Silicon Valley is the big believer in fail fast, fail often. And does that apply in Japan in the startup scene? Should it apply? I always felt that the Japanese market was very risk averse.
So what's your reaction? Have you seen people who failed at startups? Have they had a hard time finding new jobs? What is the reaction of the Japanese society and business community towards people who have failed?
Yeah, it's getting closer, but definitely, obviously, historically, in Japan, failure is a big thing. But recently, I think we learned from overseas that the people who failed has a lot of value. So I think it's changing.
Well, listen, is it just a big company problem? I mean, would you think twice about hiring the CEO of a startup that had failed in Japan? Would you be like, if his skills are good, would you be like, come on board, or would it be, wait a minute?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, hire?
We hired the guy who failed.
Excellent.
But I would say that those startups are still few, and kind of like we intentionally took the style of Silicon Valley. So we wanted to make the company like startup technology company in Japan. So we took that style though. I mean, actually, I call my team member by the first name. Okay. So everybody call me like Ken, not like Tamagawa-san. So that's the way we took, right, intentionally. But I want to like many startups to do that.
Okay, that's excellent. I think it's definitely getting better in Japan, but even in San Francisco, I think the fail fast, fail forward mantra is really kind of macho bullshit. Everybody says it, but they don't do it. So like VCs are like, oh yeah, I want to have a want to invest in a founder that has failed, but not his last venture, like the one before that. And so people talk about failure as like, yes, I failed, but then I sold my company for $1 million, $100 million. Like, no, that's not failure, man. It's I wish I could fail like that. So I think that the fail fast, fail forward thing, as a philosophy, it's a good thing to kind of keep in your heart, but it's way overhyped. Failure sucks and it's difficult, and it's hard to bounce back from. But Ken, it's good to know because I might be looking for a job someday.
Yeah. Oh, you do.
Come on up, next question.
Yeah, so some of you already talked about finding and hiring the best people. And I just want to ask more about the challenges in the talent market for startups in Japan, and what were the challenges, and maybe describe what kind of employees you were looking for, and how did you find them, and what were the difficulties or challenges you experienced?
Okay, that's kind of broad, so let me try to focus that down. Can you guys name like one thing you do to help attract the best talent in Japan? Like a good piece of advice or a strategy for hiring engineers in Japan. Shin, you've been at this the longest.
Yeah, the strategy, like the point of like hiring from our side, or like.
Well, what advice? How do you attract really good people when there's so much competition from other startups and from big companies who are paying a lot more money than you are?
From our side, in order to attract people, best way is media attention.
So people want to join a cool company that's doing cool things.
Yeah, like basically, as more we get famous, more we attract people. It's a simple calculation. So,
So get the word out.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Right.
So Tim, it's completely the answer as the Sakane-san. So once the consumer electronics business people want to change the job to the startup company, just Google it. Maybe you can find only 2 companies, 7 Dreamers and Cerevo. So that's very, very important things.
So people want to work for a cool company that's building cool, meaningful things. Ken, do you know?
Actually, we are a little bit different. Actually, we don't, publish the job description. More like, we focus on the position we want to hire. Then I'm going to ask all of the friends.
Okay, so
that's kind of a difference.
Word of mouth recruiting.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Well,
so far, we have only 45 people, so it's worked out right now. But later, maybe we need to change our strategy, though. But
as you get bigger, there's more and more people to recruit for you, right?
But I would say early stage of startups, you should hire only the guy who your network knows very well.
Okay, so someone you know and that your connections know.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've got time for one more question before we wrap up. So come on up to the mic.
I'm the lucky winner. Oh my
You're the
God.
lucky winner.
Well, I hope it's the same question we all had. But you talked about you have a lot of local hubs, and you hire locally, and you let them hire their teams. So the question that formed in my head was like, what are your communication challenges that you have with these groups?
Good question.
And also, like, what does the global community need to understand about Japan to communicate things like vision, decision making, and all the things that those things kind of entail? Is that your question?
Close enough. Shin, you've got a pretty big global operation. How do you ensure communications stay aligned and that?
So basically, it's the same as organizing the team in Japan. So what's important is make responsibility clear. What they can make decision 100%, and what they cannot. What we want to tell them to do, and what we don't want to tell them to do. Make these things
So make it really clear what authority they have, what resources they have from the beginning.
Right. The most important thing is to invite the leader of the region to Japan and give him the best sushi.
No, this works. This works.
This definitely works.
Yes.
Yes.
Ken?
So we try to use the latest technology. Like actually we prohibit email internally. Like we stick to Slack communication, and all of the information inside is exposed in this Slack.
Wow.
And also we have like a practice we call daily sync. Every day 11 a.m. Everybody is joining into the conference call. And then, before that, our robot in Slack is asking questions like, what did you do yesterday? What will you do today? And what, you need help from team. And, we are writing, right?
So
then, you can lead all of things, within 10 minutes. And
Your project manager is a Slack bot.
yes.
That's kind of cool.
So
I gotta
we try
admit.
to, re-innovate those, communication style. So that's,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Takuma, I think your advice might be not to have any foreign staff, but
And also, our foreign staff can be speak Japanese currently, so I can answer this question. But in the future, I have to think about this.
okay, excellent. Well, listen, please, let's give our panel a big hand. So I just want to say thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening. And I hope to see you all here again next year at our 4th anniversary. Thank you so much.